You know, artificial intelligence is, well, it's everywhere, right? It's recommending our next movie, it's helping doctors out. But what happens when we put it in charge of something a little more high stakes? We're talking about flying a 200-ton passenger jet at 35,000 feet. AI is definitely coming to aviation, but the big question is, are the people responsible for our safety actually ready for it? So let me just ask you, straight up, would you, right now, get on a plane flown entirely by an AI? It's a question that's moving from science fiction into, well, reality. And it's exactly what safety regulators have started asking the pros. Okay, let's dive into this, because this isn't just a thought experiment anymore. The European Union's top aviation safety agency, EASA, they realize that AI is going to fundamentally change how planes are flown, managed, and maintained. So they decided to go straight to the source to find out what the people on the ground and in the air really think. What they did was survey 231 seasoned aviation professionals. And we're not talking about rookies here. We're talking senior pilots, air traffic controllers, maintenance engineers, people with over a decade of experience whose jobs depend on getting safety right every single time. EASA presented them with a bunch of future AI scenarios and basically asked, how do you feel about this? So, what did they say? Well, the verdict wasn't a resounding yes or a defiant no way. It was, well, it was complicated. It really painted a picture of deep uncertainty and some pretty serious hesitation. First up, they were asked how comfortable they felt with these AI ideas. On a scale of 1 to 7, the average score was 4.58. So, just barely on the positive side of the fence. It's not panic, for sure, but it's certainly not a warm welcome either. Okay, next question. How willing were they to actually accept these AI systems into their day-to-day work? The score drops down to 4.34. See that? The needle is moving closer to the middle, showing even more doubt about actually using this tech. And this really gets to the heart of the issue. When they were asked how much they trust these systems to be safe and reliable, the score hit its lowest point, 4.28 out of 7. Trust, the absolute bedrock of aviation, and it's their single biggest concern. So here's the bottom line. With all the scores hovering just a little bit above the midpoint, it's pretty clear that these professionals are not rejecting AI outright. But man, they are a very, very long way from being sold on it. They're kind of cautiously watching from the sidelines. But here's where it gets interesting. Their opinion shifts like dramatically depending on the type of AI we're talking about. On the one hand, they were most comfortable with an AI for logistics, something that optimizes which gate a plane gets at the airport. Low risk, high efficiency, great. But they were least accepting of an AI that could cause human deskilling. For example, an AI that does an air traffic controller's job so well that the human, well, they lose the ability to step in during an emergency. The closer AI gets to core human skills and safety, the more that skepticism just skyrockets. And this brings us to the most important part of this whole thing. Why the hesitation? What are the specific fears behind these kind of lukewarm scores? Let's break it down. When you boil it all down, the survey responses point to 3 fundamental areas of concern. First, the impact on the humans themselves. Second, the reliability of the AI technology. And third, the ultimate effect on, you guessed it, aviation safety. To really get a feel for the human impact, just look at this quote. When one professional was asked what it would take for them to accept an AI monitoring their physiological data in the cockpit, their answer was incredibly blunt. Nothing. Would quit job. That's not just skepticism, folks. That's a red line. And that feeling, it's rooted in some very specific fears. Professionals are worried about an invasion of their privacy, about threats to their jobs, and the psychological stress of feeling like you're constantly being monitored or controlled by a machine. They're also really concerned about potential bias in AI decisions, and this is a big one, a critical lack of clarity on who is ultimately accountable when something goes wrong. This quote from a maintenance expert just nails that accountability fear. If an AI inspects a plane, but the human has to sign off on it, who's to blame if the AI misses something? As they put it, my signature is still there, so would I be charged with neglect? I mean, it's a question that highlights this massive, massive gray area. Which leads directly to concerns about the AI itself.
Everything from a mistrust of black box systems that make decisions you can't explain to fundamental questions about performance and reliability. And you better believe, on top of all that, in our connected world, cybersecurity is seen as a huge vulnerability.
This whole issue of accountability was so critical that the survey actually dug deeper, asking professionals to pinpoint exactly who should be held responsible when an AI messes up. Right? It's the multi-million-dollar question. If an AI guiding air traffic makes a mistake, who takes the fall? The human supervisor? The company that built the AI? The airline that uses it? The answers are fascinating. So check this out. When asked who holds initial responsibility, the answers were kind of spread out. But notice this. Only 13% put the blame on the frontline human user. The biggest chunk, 34%, went to the organization that put the system in place. In this case, the air navigation service provider.
Now, watch what happens when the word changes from responsible to accountable, as in who should ultimately have to answer for the failure. The burden on the human user, it drops by more than half, all the way down to just 6%. Meanwhile, accountability for the system deployer and the oversight authorities shoots way up.
So the takeaway is crystal clear. The people on the front lines are sending a powerful message. They're saying if we are going to use these powerful AI tools, the ultimate accountability cannot rest on the shoulders of the individual operator. It has to shift upstream to the corporations and regulators who design, approve, and deploy them. Period. So if that's the problem, what's the solution? How do we build that missing trust? Well, the survey revealed one demand that was almost unanimous. Get this, an overwhelming 98.3% of these professionals said that accountability for highly automated AI systems absolutely must be regulated. This wasn't a suggestion. It was a near universal demand for clear rules of the road. And that really brings us to the final, crucial point here. The verdict from aviation professionals isn't a rejection of technology. They see the potential. But it is a passionate demand for a clear, human-centric framework. They want robust rules, they want transparent systems, and they want an absolute guarantee that a skilled human is always in a position to oversee and, when necessary, take control.
This leaves us with a pretty critical question for the future of, well, not just aviation, but all high-stakes professions. As artificial intelligence gets undeniably smarter and more capable, how do we design our systems and our training to ensure that the humans working alongside it stay undeniably wise?